Hello and welcome to episode 184 of the Pitcher or the Hitter, the podcast by the M-SABR Dynasty League for the M-SABR Dynasty League. I am Cam,
Sahil.
and it finally happened after over a full year. Congratulations, Daniel and Matt Drury of your peers have won a game.
Yeah. Wow. Just um, what was it? 2023 was the last time they won a matchup. God, week what?
I think it was kind of later in the year too.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Let's see if I can pull up the league history quickly. Yeah, I mean, just man, you knew it was going to happen eventually, and I mean, this was one of those matchups where I kind of thought that it could happen, even though neither of us picked that to happen.
I
Uh,
was close. Oh, they won the final week. They beat Connor 10-2 in the final week of 2023.
Okay, so uh yeah, and then I guess they had 5 wins that season, including beating me 8-4, and beating EVO twice. How about that? Um,
How about that? That was a tough year for EBO, but still.
yeah, insane. But yeah, congrats to them. They're 1-1, which means they have a better record than you.
Yeah. Uh,
Uh,
I've had I haven't won a matchup in this league since week 20 of 2024. I have I genuinely don't know what's going on. Like I've every matchup I feel like I'm leading going into Saturday. Like and it's I don't know, we'll get into the matchups later here. Anything we want to kind of banter about before we dive in?
Yeah, Greg won the hockey league. Congrats to him on that. I think it's hilarious that it came down in part to Cam Talbot, who has been awful for me all year, and I cut. And I was looking at the game logs before, I forget which Red Wing goalie got hurt, but before that happened, he's played like the last 4 games. There was a stretch of like 7 games where they benched him 6 of the 7 games. And the one start that he got, he gave up 5 goals. So I mean, just what a redemption story for him here recently. Um, like um, yeah, good for Greg. We interviewed Yuki last week about Greg's crash out, and Greg did not quite have a crash out this week, but I did just get off being on the phone with him for 4 hours as he was going through the chaos of the that matchup, and yeah, he was freaking out quite a bit. So, congrats to Greg, congrats to Ruthvik, and congrats to everyone
Yeah,
who participated in the hockey league this year.
yeah, except for me. Who was it that won the hockey, or who was it that owned Cam Talbot that streamed in today?
So, Ruthvik picked him and Alex Nedeljkovic up, and basically what happened was
Gotcha.
uh, they needed to not give up a combined 3 goals, and they gave up a
That's
combined three
tilty.
goals. But Talbot's goal, the only goal he gave up, came with like less than a minute left in the game. Uh,
Oh, brutal.
just like absolutely, I think like literally it's like 8 seconds left. Like just. Just brutal. And yeah, and for a while there, I think going into third period of both games, neither Nedeljkovic nor Talbot had given up a goal. Like it looked like Ruthvik might get the double shutout, which would have been
That would be crazy.
yeah, but yeah, that goal flipped it, and yeah, now an anticlimactic 10 o'clock game going on.
Yeah, it doesn't affect the league.
Yeah, no, absolutely nothing can change. It was the goalie categories were close. The skating categories were not, and or really just the goalie rate categories. The skating categories weren't close, but if a skating category was the flip, it would have flipped in Greg's favor as special teams points. But that was kind of a stretch as is.
Fair enough. Yeah, want to get into the baseball of it all though?
Yeah, let's do it. Why don't we? I guess we kind of started talking about Daniel and Matt getting their first win. I feel like we don't get to lead off with them too much. So why don't we lead off with their matchup?
Yeah, let's do it. Their first win in about um, like 19 months. Congratulations. It was a 6-5-1 win over Alex and Zach. You know, not the, not the sexiest week they had. They only had one quality start, only hit 9 homers, but they did just enough. They got the 4 saves. They were able to pull out whip. Um, they were able to win doubles by one. They got on base percentage, and just kind of in the end, enough went right for them.
Yeah, they really had a nice day offensively today. Kind of a nice push over the weekend. They were losing to Alex and Zach, and it kind of looked like it'd be another same old loss for them. But they really fought hard over the weekend, flipped doubles, tying home runs. I mean, they got RBIs with 45. Like they did.
Yeah, 12 RBI on Sunday for them.
Yeah, I mean, just a huge day. And I mean, Alex had 8, so like they really needed to have that big day to kind of keep pace there. And I mean, just man, like you said, not a sexy week, but they got the job done, and they are 500. Uh, just, just
They did there. Yeah, no, definitely a nice to see them in the win column. Looking down, they got a great week from Wilyer Abreu. Um, they streamed a Jorge Polanco homer. Got on the pitching side, their quality start came from JP Sears on, was it early in the week or late in the week? Um, oh, it was late in the week. Wow, this was a quality start that I considered streaming but decided not to. That's a bummer. Um, but out of the bullpen, great week for great week for Ryan Walker, a couple of saves. Good to see him healthy. He was looking like he might miss some time earlier. Match of MVP, though, has got to go to Logan O'Hoppe. 409 OBP, 4 homers, 8 RBI. They've got their catcher, and they've got to win.
yeah, there you go. Who was their matchup MVP the last time they won a matchup?
Ooh, that is a good question. Let's go all the way back um, to week 20, whatever, of 2023.
I think he said week 20.
Um, Nolan Jones, was he one of theirs?
Who?
So the matchup MVPs that week were Luis Rengifo, Trey Turner, Joe Ryan, Nolan Jones, Justin Steele, and Blake Snell. I think
Gotta
Nolan
be Nolan
Jones is,
Jones. Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's gotta be Nolan Jones.
All right, yeah. Well, from Nolan Jones to Logan O'Hoppe, matchup MVPs. Yeah, congrats to them.
Yeah, damn. Congrats. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, anything else?
that's their 21st win in league history. Uh, Meanwhile, Erik thinks he's going to win 18 games this year alone, plus the finals, which would be 20.
So we play 22 uh games a year roughly. Some years it's been 21. I think most years it's been 22. And we've played 6 non-COVID seasons. So in the COVID season, we didn't have regular season matchups. We just did the roto. So that means that they have
Well,
basically.
they weren't in the league the first year.
Oh, okay. So we're just taking it from the beginning of the second year then. And I know he joined in his second year. I don't know exactly when in the second year, but let's just.
It was right at the start.
Okay, so that means they've won basically 20% of their games. They're basically like it would be the equivalent of them having won one season's like every regular season game and then losing the rest of the seasons that they've played in. That's kind of wild.
That is crazy. Looking at Alex's team, great week for Churio. Um, Not a whole lot to smile about besides Churio. Christian Campbell had a great week. He looks fantastic. Jordan Walker looked solid as well. And then pitching wise, it was just kind of tough out there. Although Shane Baz looked really good, and Brady Singer looked really good as well.
Yeah. Now, all players who had good weeks, yeah, I'm with you there.
All right, do you want to rip the Band-Aid off and talk about mine?
Yeah, let's do it.
Jesus Christ, dude.
What went wrong? What's going on with your team? You lost 4-8. Uh, the surface numbers maybe don't look that sexy, but I think you have some explanations as to
I
what
think
got to where you got
I
to.
think the hitting was great. I lost by one run, I lost by one homer, and I lost by one quality start. Um, I think they Jack Kachanowicz probably could have gone another inning. Probably should have. The pitching was just kind of rough in general. I had a couple bad streams. I'm trying to figure out still my auxiliary pitchers. Clay Holmes looked a lot better in his second start than he did in his first start. But Mitch Keller looked a lot worse in his second start. He kind of tanked a lot for me. Carson Spires, I tried to stream. He made it worse.
I,
Blake
I
Treinen had a rough go of it this week. I don't. And I mean, the hitting was great. I mean, another great week for Judge, great week for Jackson, great week for Altuve. Even though he had a platinum sombrero this week, the rest of the week he was on fire. Great week for Brendan Donovan. Um, a really solid week for Lindor. Vlad was good. So my hitting was fine, zero complaints there. It's just they just barely pipped me, and I led all week and just kind of couldn't. It just never seems to happen the reverse for me. I always just kind of get overtaken on the last day or two.
yeah, I will say the move that did baffle me was your decision to start Mitch Keller against the Yankees. That made no sense to me. The way the Yankees have been hitting. They're not a
Yeah,
team that start kind of an average pitcher against, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't think you're necessarily doing anything wrong. I do still think you have a very solid ball club here that's like well constructed. It's 2 weeks, right? I started 0-1 last year as in a similar position as you. I lost stub week and then I tied Alex in week two. Um, and then I ripped off a 4 game win streak. I was facing Erik in week three. I was super nervous for that and ended up, pulling that off. And granted, it kind of went downhill a little bit after that 4-1 start, but like uh, it's a month later, I was looking at it and I was like, things look very different, and there's no reason to me that things can't look really different for you. I mean, yeah, like you have a tough matchup next week, but um, like what, like 11 days should not be enough for you to completely just, you know, fall off the map and, just
it's just so hard to explain. I don't know where it's going wrong.
well,
I've lost the sauce.
is
That's
it
just all I can. I'm cursed and I've lost the sauce in some sort of way.
lost the sauce? That's a great phrase. But is it you lost the sauce, or is it stub week and then you played a team who was in the finals last year?
I should be beating this team.
I
I don't
mean,
know.
we both had you above EBO in the power rankings, but like, you were three and they were four. It's on outside the realm of possibility that, you lose to this team.
I guess I don't know. And looking, let's would have done against you. Oh, you had a great week. I wouldn't have beaten you, but um, no, I would have won. Would I have 5-5-2 tied you? Let's see, one, two,
I think
and a
so.
tie, three and a tie, four and a tie, four and two ties, no, making me 6-4-2. So,
Yeah.
but so I would have been competitive against just about anyone this week, I suppose, is the
Yeah, I will say that oh, it is interesting now. By the time you finish our matchup, whether you win or not, you will officially hit over 100 days since your last win in an M-SABR Dynasty League matchup, including you losing the 11th place game in the Hockey League,
I'm
which
not
you
gonna.
obviously
I
don't care
don't.
about, but I'm counting it. So yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad the hockey's over. Now I can see now when I get a notification from ESPN Fantasy, I can be like, oh, it's one guy's hitting a homer instead of Asa Lindell got an assist in a meaningless game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good for you, but I think brighter days are ahead, and I think you're going to shake off this start. If you can get past me with a win, your schedule does lighten up considerably for a couple weeks there, and I think you'll be in good shape. But
Let's talk about EBO. They had a fantastic week. They would have beaten just about anyone. I think they would have beaten you. They were just slightly better than me in on offense, but their pitching killed it all week. Um, Imanaga, Imanaga. So I was up all week, and then Imanaga had a start that really was the turning point that kind of flipped the matchup towards them. It was 7.1 innings, one earned run, um, four hits, no walks. So that really was what did it. And then Yamamoto had a great start. Jackson Joe did not. But Reese Olson pitched well. Pablo Lopez pitched well. Just the back half of the week. Um,
well,
and even despite Scooble panicking.
and I thought you caught a break too because Sandy Alcantara was supposed to go today and he got rained out. But yeah, it did not work out for you. They're pitching. It's a good pitching staff. Um, although I guess they did lose Nestor Cortez today, so it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that. But yeah, I mean, this is a really good pitching staff that's going to create a lot of problems for people. I don't think their offense is quite as up to snuff, but this pitching staff is rough to go against.
I agree. And they didn't have a single pitcher who had the two quality starts, but and they could have gotten matchup MVP. Hitting wise, though, with a nod to Riley Green, who was great, Kyle Tucker was just on another level. Three homers, 11 runs, two steals as well, 548 OBP. He absolutely boomed me. If Kyle Tucker had a normal week, I would have won,
He has been
or
on
at least tied, I guess. Yeah,
he's been on a tear since he joined the Cubs. Good for him. He's gonna get paid, and the Cubs absolutely should pay him, but they won't.
absolutely. EBO now with this win, they're ahead of me on categories in our all-time series, 72 to 70, with two categories tying. But I am up 6-5 to 1 in the all-time head-to-head against them now.
Wow, that is ridiculously even.
It is.
Jesus, that's fun.
Yeah, no, we've both kind of we haven't been good at the same time until last year. Um, so it's nice to maybe this will develop into a rivalry if I can find the sauce again.
Find the sauce again. Oh my God, we're gonna have a song about sauce, aren't we?
Yeah, it's all about sauce. This league is about sauce.
About sauce, yeah.
Um, Speaking of sauce, Ruthvik, um, he is tied twice in a row. I'm not sure what sort of hell that is, but he is 0-0 and 2 to start the season.
It's like some Thai food sauce, whatever they put in there. But yeah,
Some of that,
He-
yeah,
he-
peanutty something.
yeah. You know what though? Like I get that he's probably frustrated that he's tied twice, but like if you told me that like he was gonna play Erik and Jake in the first 2 weeks and he would come out of those like 0 and 2, like I'd be like, all right, like go Ruthvik, especially the way his offense looks. Like there's just I feel like he's just desperately looking for names here. Like he's got Alan Roden like in this outfield man and like I guess Victor Scott's in
I mean,
pretty.
let's look at these are some weird numbers. 50 runs, incredible.
Yeah.
Nine doubles, nine homers, 35 RBI, that's terrible. 12 steals, um, and seven holds. Just like a weird mix of numbers.
It's a 358 OBP too. He doesn't it's weird because he's kind of built this team with like some like random speed guys. Like he's got Nico Horner, right? He's got Victor Scott. There's not really a ton of guys who hit for like big power on this team. I mean, I guess he's got like J-Rod, but like none of these other guys really scream like big power hitter. Um, and yet like it's I don't know. I don't understand this team, and I thought he was going to be pretty bad, so I'm pretty surprised, pleasantly surprised that he's 0-0 and 2.
Yeah, I agree. And looking at some names, I'm going to give matchup MVP to Nico Horner. His second time winning that honor. He stole six bases, had a 481 OBP, six runs, had a double, drove in five runs as well. But shout out to Nolan Arenado, had a decent week. Um, Matt McLean looked solid. Shea Langoliers had a good OBP. Good week from Nootbaar, who scored 7 runs. Um,
Yeah.
Julio scored 6 runs as well. So he had some solid performances hitting wise, and then on the pitching side, fantastic start from Luzardo. Um,
Yeah, he's looked really good
really solid,
here.
yeah, really solid start from Webb also. But Luzardo was definitely the pitching side guy. Um, as for Jake, um, no standouts, I guess, to Horner's level. Although a decent week from Springer. Um, decent week from Matt Olson. Um, the only guy to hit more than one homer for his team was Jorge Soler, but he did it with a 269 OBP. Um, Chris Bubich was fantastic. I do want to give him a shout out on the pitching side. And if Jake had maybe, yeah, had a couple more strikeouts or had one whip or something, then we'd be talking about Chris Bubich as the MVP. But um, 16 Ks, 2 quality starts, only 1 earned run over 12 and two-thirds innings. Just a super awesome week from him. He's kind
I,
of a breakout candidate that people have been right about.
I watched him carve up the Orioles today. He looked pretty good. It's interesting because he's not like a big velocity guy or anything, but he's just kind of able to effectively mix all his pitches. And I'm,
Kyle
cu-
Hendricks type.
it's, yeah, I'm curious to see how this works. Like, I think the early results have been encouraging, but like, I'm kind of curious as like, he hasn't pitched a ton in recent years, and not especially not in the rotation. It's been a lot out of the bullpen when he has been pitching. So I'm kind of curious as he continues to go through lineups multiple times and teams kind of get more info on him, how that might how he might develop. But I think the early returns look solid, and it was a shrewd pickup for Jake. It's weird. I heard of a lot of sleeper candidates going like into the season, and then Bubich was one I heard about like literally like day before the season, but I had not heard his name like floated around at all before that. But he's just been killing it. So yeah, good for him.
Yeah. No, exactly. Here's a fun fact. Ruthvik has, since week 13 of last year, since he beat Daniel and Matt in week 12 of last year, he has 1 win and 4 ties.
Jesus, yeah, he fell off big time at the end. He had a hockey league Cam-esque fall off last year. Maybe not as bad because you didn't win a game, but like, yeah, he really fell off. Um, and it's weird because you were thinking like, hey, he hasn't won a game this year, so he's kind of continuing that. But like, he tied last year's champion and then the champion from the 2 years before that. Uh, I don't know, man.
But yeah, let's get through the rest of these. 3 more matchups. None of them were particularly interesting. Which one do we want to talk about?
I'm sure one of these has to be somewhat interesting. Wow, they were all kind of blowouts. Let's talk about Andrew v. Connor because I want to talk about Andrew's team. He's off to a nice start.
At 2-0, looking good. The pitching wasn't really that good this week, but he hit really strong and was able to beat Conor, who had a 6.750 ERA. I wonder where that ranks among the worst single week ERAs ever.
I don't know. Connor's had worse, like multiple worse weeks than that.
Man.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I think maybe Yuki had an ERA in the sevens 1 week last year.
that sounds
Um,
right too. I think both of those things are true. Connor's had much worse weeks in this, and also Yuki just shot the bed 1 week last year.
yeah, but it's interesting. Connor didn't have the worst offensive week. He scored, yeah, 41 runs, 42 RBI, 13 homers, definitely respectable, and with the 8 steals. But the pitching, um, I was really who Merrill Kelly was the guy who killed it for him. Jeffrey Springs had a bad start too, and Charlie Morton wasn't that great. But he got a good start out of Kyle Freeland. Casey Mize pitched well, so there were some high points there. But and then hitting wise, I mean, Cedric Mullins looked great. Um, great week for Jacob Wilson. That's going to be. I was not a Jacob Wilson fan on draft day, so I'm definitely being proven wrong about him.
Yeah, I didn't think he had much fantasy juice. I kind of thought he was just like a poor man's Luis Arias. That was always my issue with him. But like, I
And
think
he has not yet walked this year.
right, yeah.
If
So
you hear
he,
a dog in the background, we're dog sitting, by the way.
oh shit, I'm jealous.
Yeah, I'll
I
send you a picture. His name's Kilo.
Kilo, what a great name. Like the meter.
Yes, Kilo like the meter.
Uh, I love it. Uh,
Got a squeaky toy.
I,
Um,
I,
uh,
okay. I don't even remember where we were. Uh,
Jacob
Jacob Wilson. Yeah.
Jacob Wilson, yeah, has not yet walked this year, but I mean, he's slugging 568. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah. And I think he was part of the infield that, or no, I think he hit into the triple play this week. I feel like I saw his name with the triple play at the Rockies turn this week.
Oh,
Uh,
you have your own water. What are you doing with mine?
he did hit into a triple play, but then later hit into a two-run double in a game that they won. But yeah, was that the dog or Lexi going after your water?
That was the dog going after my water. It wasn't Lexi.
Well, I can't be for sure, or I can't know for sure, but
Um,
okay.
but but
Yeah,
yeah, Jacob Wilson, yeah, into that triple play. Let's talk Andrew's team uh here. Yeah, decent hitting week. 52 runs is 1 second. Let the squeaking quiet down.
I don't hear a thing.
You don't hear it? Okay.
no, so
Okay.
it's all you.
Um, all right, decent hitting week, 52 runs for him. Kyle Schwarber had a strong week, 6 runs, 2 homers. Um, good week. Great week for Ben Rice, who stole a couple bases. Ben Rice steals bases, I guess. Um,
They were going up against somebody because he stole two bases in an inning, and I think they stole like four bases in that inning as a whole. So like, somebody was not good at holding runners. I don't think it's a normal part of his game.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, not the best pitching week for Andrew, but Chris Bassett had a great start. And so did Nick Lodolo. Um, who should I give the MVP?
Ben Rice, baby, he's proven all the haters wrong. I don't know what his full line was, but yeah.
I don't want to, but I genuinely don't think there's a better option than Ben Rice, except for maybe Chris Bassett. Um,
All right, well, it's up to you to make that decision.
were any of the pitching categories close? Not, yeah, yeah. The quality start, flip the quality starts, ERA and WHIP. He had to get, you know what, Chris Bassett.
Boo. What
I
did
want
Ben
to.
Rice ever do to you? God.
I don't. I don't get your fixation on guys you've traded away.
It's not even just because he's a guy traded away. Like look at the numbers. Look at the underlying stats this year. Like he's been good. Like is he going to keep this up? I'm not sure. Part of the reason I didn't pick him up to begin the year is I thought he was going to be like a strong side DH, and I didn't know if he was going to keep the role. But he had an awesome spring training, smoking the ball. Like I don't get the hate.
But why don't we talk about players that you do actually own? You had a good week this week. You drove in 60 runs, stole 11 bases. Your 48 runs, I believe, was second behind me and third behind me and EBO. Why don't you talk about the week you had?
Yeah, I think this is kind of the type of week that I'm just expecting from my team each week. Awesome offensive week, 60 RBIs led the league by 10 this week. 11 steals is great. 335 OBP, I'll take 48 runs, 12 homers. So I won four of the six offensive categories and tied another. And I think that that's really what I need to kind of carry a pitching staff that's been dealing with injuries. The four holds was nice. I'll certainly take a 3.18 ERA and a 1.14 WHIP. Um, but I think there was a point yesterday where Yuki kind of tightened it up a little bit, and I thought, hey, maybe there was a scenario where he did a couple things and it would flip the matchup. And I was kind of surprised today that he didn't stream a starter, and I wonder if that would have forced my hand. I think I would have picked up Will Warren, and maybe that flips CRA and whip. Maybe Yuki's able to get some strikeouts. Maybe he gets a quality start, and it makes the matchup interesting. But um, yeah, I didn't really feel too much stress here, kind of cruising to a 9-2-1 win. And yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty solid about this team right now. It's the exact opposite vibes of from last year when I started 0-1-1. So I'm feeling good.
I just noticed something terrible. Um, if you beat me next week in Toxic Week, it'll be your 100th win in league history.
Are you serious?
Swear to God.
Oh my God,
You'd be
my
the first team to
100
100 wins.
first team to 100 wins in a league.
Eric's sitting at 95, and then after that, you have to go down to me at 69,
Jesus, does this include
which
playoff?
it does include playoffs, and I guess maybe this is my curse. I've been stuck at 69 wins.
Jesus,
And EBO's at 67 right now, so they're close behind me for that fourth one. Um,
Jesus.
but if you win, it's crazy the gap though between you and Eric and the rest of the league. Like I've had down stretches, EBO's had down stretches, Jake has had down stretches, but uh, you and Eric have not.
Yeah, I mean, what Erik and I have combined to make the playoffs 13 out of 14 years, or 7 years, so 13 out of 14 when you
Yeah.
double it for us. Yeah, I mean, um, just insane. Yeah, he and I have had just a ridiculous amount of consistency. Um, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I really would love to prevent you from getting that 100th win. But let's talk about your players here. With respect to Suzuki and to Devers, um, I got to give matchup MVP probably to Pete Alonso. And if you wanted to argue for Devers, I would allow it. But I think Alonso just for the 11
I
RBI.
here's the other argument I want to make. How about Zach Gallen, the start he had this week?
That's a great start, but I don't know. I hesitate to give it to one or to one quality start pitchers unless they threw a no-hitter or unless there just wasn't that great of a hitter in here and you had two or three guys who were fantastic hitters.
No, I get it. Yeah, Alonso's been fantastic to start the year, especially with Freddie Freeman hitting the IL because he can't seem to stand properly in his shower. Yeah, he's been huge, and I am very glad that the Mets re-signed him. And I hope that they re-sign him after this year. Also, shout out Devers. You're right. He really bounced back in a huge way this week. 586 OBP. And everybody was so concerned, and he's really turned it on, especially in this doubleheader today. Also, shout out to Geraldo Perdomo, who I randomly streamed and had like a nice week. So I was certainly not
Yeah.
expecting that, but Geraldo Perdomo was fun. And Zach Allen, again, like 6 2/3 shutout innings against the Yankees with 13 strikeouts. And like, I would encourage you all to go back and watch that start. His curveball was wicked. That was maybe the best pitching performance of the year to date.
Yeah, good stuff. Final matchup here, Eric beat Anthony 9-3. Eric played really well. Anthony did not. Just a really solid 54 runs, 17 homers. No other team really came close to 17 homers. Um, 82 strikeouts. I don't think any other team came particularly close to that. Only two quality starts, but it's tough to get quality starts this time of year when everyone's um, kind of being on a short leash so far. But a
It,
nice, easy, comfortable win for Eric.
Yeah, there was a funny stat going into today, and I don't know if that's still true. Daniel, Matt, and Eric were tied for the same number of quality starts, and one of them has like every starting pitcher available, and the other one has like one healthy starting pitcher. So I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, these small sample sizes this early on in the season can be pretty funny.
Absolutely. Erik moves to 10-1-2 all time against Anthony, by the way. Looking at some guys here. Um, Ellie drove in 9 runs for Erik. Fantastic week for Jose Ramirez again. Um, Teoscar Hernandez drove in 7 runs, stole a couple bases. Um, Not a ton of other standouts hitting wise. Fantastic start from Spencer Schwellenbach. 8 innings, 10 strikeouts, uh, no earned runs, 2 hits allowed. Just a supremely good start for him. And Hunter Green's quality start was the other one. He looked really good too.
Yeah, he's a real deal. I
Yeah.
think, yeah. Hot take, he's better than Spencer Strider.
Hunter Green is, or
Yeah,
Spencer Schwellenbach is.
Wallenbach.
That is tough. Those Spencer's S on that team. I am struggling to find a matchup MVP on Eric's team. There's some good hitters, but no great ones. I think this might be where I give it to Schwellenbach.
Yeah, I mean that's the type of start that definitely deserves it.
Yeah.
Going 8 innings this early in the season is pretty damn impressive.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
Anything else on Eric's team, or are we ready to go into the matchups to watch? Did we go through all the matchups?
Yeah, we went through all the matchups very quickly. Schwellenbach is the third Spencer S to win matchup MVP after Strider and Steer have each won one.
That's excellent. I love that.
There's a lot of Spencer's S in the league.
Are there any besides those three? Or I guess
But that's a weirdly high.
that is weird. Well,
That's
especially
enough.
two of them being on the same team and being very good starting pitchers for the same team.
Yeah,
Yeah, that kind of cracks me up.
absolutely. All right, yes, let's look at next week's matchups. I mean, outside of the aforementioned toxic week, um,
Yeah.
an extra toxic week, I think. Um,
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, what, like you're 0 and 2, I could win my 100th game. Oh, yeah. Not only that, I'll be out of town. I'll be in Spain for at least a podcast episode or two afterwards. Or one. I think I'm only gonna miss one the way that the schedule comes out because I think we go home that Saturday. But I would hate to win my 100th game and not be able to immediately talk about it on the podcast. So I feel a little extra pressure to beat you next week.
no,
Um,
absolutely. That's a good one. I think I want to give a shout out to EBO versus Andrew, though. Both teams are 2-0, having a really hot start to the season. That will be a matchup I'm going to be watching.
As it should,
Yeah.
yeah. No, they what battle of the 2-0 teams? There are currently three 2-0 teams after this week. I'm one of them, and EBO and Andrew are the other two. So, and then I believe I play. Uh, I don't know. Yeah, I play Andrew week 5, so if Andrew ends up being the team and I beat you and then beat Jake the week after, that could be the matchup of the last two undefeateds there in a few weeks. But um, yeah, no, EBO and Andrew off to really good starts. Curious to see how things end up for them. They were both in the semis last year, right? I know EBO was, but was
They were, yeah.
Andrew? Okay, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, let's pick them. How do we do last week in the pick 'em? I think I correctly pick a tie? I might have.
No, you did not pick a tie last week. At least what I have written down. You picked you and Yuki to tie week 1. Um, but you picked Ruthvik.
Mm.
Uh, and I picked Jake in that matchup. But okay, so we both picked Andrew, and we both picked me, and we both picked Erik. So we went 3-0 there. We both picked Alex and Zach. We were wrong about that. I picked Jake, you picked Ruthvik. They tied, so we both got a tie there. The difference was you picked yourself,
Don't
which
sound
feels
so disgusted by that pick.
I know it's such an anti-cam pick, but yeah, you picked yourself and I picked you. Or sorry, I picked EVO. So I won 4-1-1. You won 3-2-1. I'm 7-3-1. You're 7-2-2. which once again means that you are leading the pick'em, although I have narrowed your lead a little bit, which means that you will pick first.
All right. I think Ruthvik will beat Alex and Zach. I think that Anthony will beat Connor. Um, I think, although Anthony does really play to the level of his opponents, so that one could be sneaky close. I think, y- ooh, these are tough. I think Erik will beat Jake. I think Yuki will. No, I'm gonna pick the Drury to go back to back. Why not?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
I like
that'll be
that.
2-1. I think EBO will beat Andrew, and I think you're gonna beat me.
You said EBO beat Andrew.
EBO will beat Andrew.
Would you like to give a score prediction in our matchup? Not that it'll count for anything, but I'm just purely curious what you think.
9-2-1.
Jesus, okay. Wow, you have no faith in your team right now.
I have
Um,
no faith in my team's owner right now. Like the ownership group, like sell the team, Bob.
yes. All right. I will pick Anthony to beat Connor. I will pick Yuki to beat Daniel and Matt. I think Yuki actually played pretty well this week despite the loss, so I'm not going to knock him too hard there. I think Erik will beat Jake, but I think this one will be a competitive matchup. And honestly, one we probably should have shouted out a little more in the matchups to watch. I'm gonna pick Andrew. I'm feeling good vibes with Andrew.
Okay.
I think he's gonna move to 3-0. And I'm still a little concerned about EBO's offense. Um, I'm gonna pick Alex to get back on track against Ruthvik. Um, I know Ruthvik has had two really solid ties against Jake and Erik, and I know that Alex has a loss to Jake and a loss to Daniel and Matt, but both of those were incredibly close and came down to the last minute or by small margins. And I think his team is better than they've played so far. And then, hmm, oh man, you versus me. Um, that's tough. I feel like we have so many different permutations of how we pick this every time, and I'm like, oh, if I pick it a certain way this time, I'm gonna win. Like yada yada. But I'm feeling good about my team, so I'm gonna pick myself to win, and I'm gonna say it's 7-4-1. I just, it's your team is not as bad as they've been playing. I need you to know that. Like, and I feel like we have an episode a year where I'm like play like your therapist after you have like a particularly bad loss or something. As a matter of fact, there's definitely an episode that we have titled like Sahil plays therapist or something. Um, but if it's not this week, it's going to get better. Your schedule lightens up after you play me. And I would not be surprised if you're the one who wins 9-2-1. Like you have Soto and Vlad and Judge and Jackson Merrill and probably another big bat that I'm forgetting about off the top of my head that could easily just take over this week. And you have the starting pitchers
Lindor.
that could easily take over this week. Yeah, Lindor, thank you. And then you have the Ceases of the world and the Zach Wheelers who could easily just take over and just dominate on the pitching end and really give you an edge. So I'm not uh you're not gonna have to do a ton of streaming this week either. Neither will I on the starting pitcher front at least. So which I think can only benefit you because you should not be streaming Carson Spires and starting him in a legitimate matchup. Um
It's there was some desperation there. I don't know. I just need to see myself win a dynasty matchup before I can ever imagine it happening again.
Yeah, it's literally going to be 100 days tomorrow.
Well, let's hope we can break a hundred streaks this week.
Hey, look, if Daniel and Matt could break their streak, then you can break yours.
Well, all right. They've got the sauce now, and they I don't know how they acquired the sauce, but they have it.
Speaking of acquiring things, does that affect the belt in any way?
Ooh, I bet Alex probably owns the loser's belt now. Let's see what's going on belt wise. So the winner's belt, Erik still owns. He held all through the end of the season, after taking it from Conor, funny enough. And the loser's belt, yeah, the Drury had it towards the end of the season, not for a crazy long time, but they had it through the playoffs. And now Alex's loser's belt. Yeah.
Damn. Well, yeah, that's how long have the Drury held it like over the course of the league? Like I feel like it's got to be just like a ridiculously long time they've held it. Like it's got to be like
So
over
yeah,
seasons or
good question. I don't think it's crazy long. I know they had it for 10 days in a row, kind of at the start of 2023. Yuki had it for a long time at the end of 2023. Um, Connor's had it for a while. I don't know. Maybe I'll do some belt digging tomorrow.
that would be fun. Yeah. Yeah, we're not getting Premier Roto in here. Neither you or I think, have the time to do it. So anytime we get some fun facts, it's definitely good.
Yeah, I don't have time to do it in the hockey league, and somehow I do.
I feel like we just peer pressure you into it.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, nobody's adding you and saying Roto at like 5 in the morning on Monday.
Thank God for
But
that. There's a lot of things that have made me want to quit this league, and that would be one of them.
Hey, you know what? The day you win a matchup, you're gonna be so happy to do that Roto again, just for that week, I'm sure.
And I really thought I had this one won against DBO.
I thought you were gonna win too, and then that Imanaga start, I still remember chatting you about it. I was like, man,
Yeah,
Imanaga
you
looks
watch
good.
my matchups more than you watch your own, it seems.
It depends on the week. Like I was pretty comfortable against Yuki all week, and we do the podcast, right? So like it's I know we're gonna talk about your team, and I get an opportunity to shit talk you for like an hour and a half each week, to your face or to the little blacked out Zoom thing. So you know I need to be up to date.
All right, let's get out of here. Anything else?
No, I can't think of anything else. Congrats again to Greg for the hockey league. But we are now in full swing on baseball mode. I am super excited, as are you. And I can't wait to talk next week, when you finally win a matchup.
Well, that's not what you picked, but um, so thank you for that.
Yeah. You know me. I will be going back and forth all week. Oh, actually, here's one more thing before we go. We're now 2 weeks into the season. I have not congratulated anybody on their win in this league yet. How long do you think it takes before I congratulate you on your win this week?
I bet you've done it before this episode posted.
Uh, Interesting. Okay, let's see if I can refrain just to prove a point. But
All right, well, that
no.
would be much appreciated.
Uh, yeah, but now it's you would appreciate it if I didn't, so now I shouldn't, but I gotta we'll see. All right, but in any event, have a good week and yeah, see you on the other side.
All right, see you on the other side.
Oh, sauce it down, sauce it up. You too much, you too much. Ain't enough, ain't enough, ain't enough. Where you from? Where you from? Down
This podcast is good.